Only Chainsaw Man could give fans of the series a chapter where the War Devil unleashes a literal hellscape. You got all this regeneration going on. She's created her ideal deathless dystopia, and she still loses because Denji flashes a peace sign. Very ironic, ironically, given the fact that he was trying to say that scissors beats paper. If you ever needed proof that Fujimoto was a madman and he writes the world's stupidest yet smartest manga, Chapter 222 is the definitive exhibit of that proof. This is the kind of chapter where worldviews they collapse, a new hybrid form debuts, and the ultimate weaponized ego gets defeated by rock, paper, scissors. This is absolutely peak fiction going on here. And somehow this whole thing, it is thematically airtight when you sit back and look at everything Chainsaw Man's given to us. So as usual, we'll do a quick recap of Chainsaw Man Chapter 222, and then we're going to fully unpack everything. There's a lot to discuss here. So, Chapter 222 begins with Yoru regenerating from nothing but her scorched head, landing slightly amid all the carnage that she's created. Corpses, they are around her. They're either burnt or they're mangled or they're barely recognizable because last chapter she unleashed the nuclear weapon punch. One of the victims that we see is Chainsaw Man himself, reduced to a shredded torso. Yet instead of horror itself, Yoru sees nothing but beauty. When a woman with her brain is exposed and begs Chainsaw Man to save her, Yoru realizes that she has achieved her dream, a world where no one can die, violence reigns endlessly, and humanity will inevitably turn on itself yet again. It's a perfect battlefield. This is the War Devil's ideal playground. Very fitting given how childish Yoru is. The woman tries to help revive Chainsaw Man by letting blood from her cracked skull drip into his mouth, only for Yoru to casually kick her head off clean. Chainsaw Man begins to stir at this moment, and Yoru thanks him for enabling her utopia to finally come into fruition. However, now that she believes she's clearly won their final battle, she reaches out for him, ready to turn him into her ultimate weapon. But just as she begins brainstorming, coming up with all these ideas of what to call him, Denji suddenly throws up a peace sign. And then he says, "Hey, this means that I win." Yoru is understandably confused, and Denji explains she just played paper. He's playing scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. He wins the battle. And because of Yoru's ego, her pride, and her competitive spirit, and her childish nature, her power interprets her recognizing a loss as an inability to turn him into a weapon. It's absolutely brilliant. And like that kid that would rage quit when you play online, or if you go back in the day, the kid who would unplug the controller or hit the reset button when they were losing, Yoru throws a fit. And so she tries to shoot him in anger. Yet Denji, he dodges effortlessly. Then he announces his new revelation. The form that we're seeing, it is the combination of Pochita's brawn and Denji's pure genius, his idiotic genius. His words, not reality, they're all fused into one. And the chapter ends with this brand new transformation. What the title of the chapter tells us is Denji Man, and he is standing proudly as he declares his defeat. Now, this is very brilliant when you sit down and you think about what this means. In order to understand that, we first have to look at how Denji outplayed Yoru with the stupidest smart move ever. One of the consistent highlights of Chainsaw Man's battles is how Denji wins not through strategy per se, or through intelligence, or through technical skill, but through doing something unbelievably stupid that somehow ends up being correct. Is both comedic as well as genius because he's just so stupid he's actually brilliant. Here he flips Yoru's power on his head by weaponizing her own worldview against her. Yoru's entire ability hinges on superiority. If she believes that someone is beneath her, she can turn them into a weapon, just as when Makima believed that someone was beneath her, she could control them. But Denji forces her into a game where superiority is clearly defined by an outcome that she can't ignore. Rock, paper, scissors has clearly defined reasons. Rock means that you lose against paper. Scissors means that you lose against rock, etc., etc. She sees the peace sign. She realizes that her hand being out means that it was paper. Denji declared that he used scissors. That means that she lost. And because she recognizes this loss, even if it's for a split second. That means that her power, it crumbled. This moment is funny, it's clever, and it is deeply true to Denji's character. He doesn't need a complex strategy. He doesn't need a brilliant plan. He just needs to be Denji, chaotic, unpredictable, and somehow always landing on the exact thing that he needs to turn the tide. It also reinforces something core to Chainsaman's identity. Absurdity and sincerity, they can coexist. This scene is stupid, yet it's very airtight. A joke with a narrative logic. It's basically Fujimoto's specialty with Chainsaw Man. And that also is why we have to further appreciate the brilliance behind this new Black Chainsaw Man, this combination form that is called Denji Man. So, as fans, we never expected, or I think most of us would say we never expected, Denji to casually refer to a new transformation as a combo form between himself and Pochita, but Chapter 222 delivers the moment in style. This isn't Rage Chainsaw Man. This isn't Berserk Chainsaw Man. It's not Devil Takeover Chainsaw Man. It's not Horny Chainsaw Man. It's a balance, a harmony between the two sides. And that harmony, it is expressed visually. The horns, they twist out the side of his head, merging Denji's hybrid traits with a more devilish silhouette. The intact intestine stretches from his stomach to his weaponized form. It remains a callback to his raw, unleashed form. An armored chest plate wraps around his torso like a protective shell, signaling Denji's human stability is anchoring Pochita's power. It's grotesque, it's metal, and it looks like something that Denji could proudly label as Denji Man. But most importantly, because we saw Denji's face at one point, this is the ultimate payoff to Denji finally balancing the two worlds. All throughout part 2 of Chainsaw Man, it has been quietly building towards a single question, and now we're getting an answer to the question. Which life would Denji choose? A normal human life or the life of Chainsaw Man? Whenever Denji tries normalcy, we saw he found nothing but emptiness. He was bored, he was aimless. His past, it was too brutal for him to accept the simplicity of an everyday life to fulfill him. This is the same kid who survived by eating toilet paper. Normalcy is too hollow for someone who basically grew up on suffering. Meanwhile, as Chainsaw Man, it gave him everything he never had. Aki, power, they were family, excitement, purpose, belonging. Part 2, it has forced him to confront both extremes at various points. This is why rereading part 2 from the very beginning every now and then, it puts a lot of things into perspective. At times, it is slower than part 1, but when you just follow the narrative, it's arguably more brilliant than part 1 ever was. Chapter 222, it shows this synthesis and effect. Denji isn't choosing humanity. He isn't choosing being Chainsaw Man. Instead, he's choosing both. Both parts of those aspects of himself are Denji. He is fully, finally balanced. And that balance is what lets him take control of the Black Chainsaw Man instead of being consumed by it. In the past, when we saw this was all Pochita. Now he's in the driver's seat. And when you have a deep understanding of Buddhism and the middle way in Denji's journey, it hits a lot harder. Fujimoto at times has played with the philosophical concepts without stating them outright. Denji's journey mirrors a Buddhist principle, the middle way, the path between extremes. Denji's extremes, they're obviously clear. Total normalcy equals dissatisfaction and disconnection. Total Chainsaw Man, it is pain, it's exploitation, it's self-erasure, it is chaos. But Denji Man represents the middle path. Not denial, not indulgence. Instead, it's integration. This is the first time that we see Denji acting without a contradiction to his soul. He's not trying to escape identity or cling to only one side of it. Instead, he's finally at peace and he has true balance. That's why chapter 222 hits so hard. This chapter fires on every single level, in my opinion. Comedically, you have Denji beating Yoru with rock, paper, scissors. It's a genius level stupidity. Thematically, it's the payoff of the two arcs of identity crisis. Visually, the new form reflects harmony between Denji and Pochita. Narratively, it shows Denji fully embracing who he is. Tonally, the chapter title, Denji Man, is so dumb, but it's also incredibly brilliant, which makes it legendary. Fujimoto, in my opinion, delivered one of the funniest, smartest, and most meaningful chapters in all of Chainsman Part 2, and all of it hinges on the fact that our brilliant idiot Denji threw a peace sign. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking here to check out more videos from Anime Explained.